Hello, everyone. Welcome to Illuminating Astrology. We're about to experience another important astrological event, a total lunar eclipse on March 3rd. And eclipses are very significant for the world, economy, mundane astrology, but specifically lunar eclipses, they influence all of us. So in today's video, I want to look at the lunar eclipse and see how it influences financial markets. This is in continuum of my previous video, which many of you liked. So look at the silver, Bitcoin, the markets in general. And I will also touch upon the mundane astrology. What does it mean for the United States and for the world at large? So in traditional astrology, lunar eclipse does not have such a long impact as solar eclipse. However, it can last up to a few months. And this particular total lunar eclipse is going to last a few hours, about 3-4 hours total. So its effects will be felt in the next 3-4 months, but the most strong effects will be almost immediate. If we look at the eclipse in a really broad lens for the whole world, the emphasis is on Virgo, which has to do with financial concerns, financial securities to the people, but also agriculture and crops. So it suggests that people in the world are really focused on accessibility of foods. Perhaps they notice that the prices increase, there is a certain sense of inflation. Because eclipse is falling in immutable signs, there is a lot of changes, a lot of back and forths. But Virgo also has to do with markets, with services, especially public services. So it will be on people's minds as well. On the positive, the moon is going to sextile, eclipse is being sextiled by Jupiter, which suggests, even though unstable, there are some increases, some improvements for various countries, people in general. Next, we can look at the dispositor of the eclipse, and that's Mercury. Mercury is going to be in weak position. It's retrograde, it's in the sign where it doesn't feel comfortable in Pisces, and it's under the sunbeams. So in the next month or two, we can expect great instability. And that suggests that everything related to the markets, to the news, to the information, to the education systems is in flux, is gonna continue change and be unstable. On the positive, we find Venus here, which increases diplomacy efforts, increases negotiations, and we find the Sun here, which also highlights literature, literary people, education. So we can expect some good and some bad. But again, more globally, we can see that there are many planets in Pisces that puts emphasis on the water, on the seas and oceans, and everything related to the oceans will be highlighted. The trades, there may be ships being capsized or difficulties at seas because Mars also entered Pisces. But there's good and bad. While we can anticipate some difficulties at seas, but on the positive here, we have Venus also in Pisces. So wherever conflict is brewing, negotiations are possible, and agreement are possible. And in terms of politics, I think we can again anticipate changes in the laws, disagreement between the government and the Congress for the United States. And in terms of financial markets, which I will talk in greater depth just in a second, instability, but not the collapse. So let's take a look at finances, and also I'm going to talk about the United States. For the United States, the eclipse falls into the seventh house. This has to do with the public relationships with other countries. On the one hand, there can be reversals of the previous agreements in changes in laws and regulations. There could be changes in the news and publications because Mercury is in the first house. The news and information that we receive is not entirely stable and maybe not even entirely truthful. We may hear something, but it will be debunked later. As far as relationship with the foreign countries for the United States, they're unstable, but not entirely bad because Venus is here, which inclines to more peaceful negotiations. Also, Venus rules income from the other countries. So United States continues, maybe that's tariffs, or maybe that's other trades, but United States will continue receiving income. But on the positive for the United States, all of these planets fall in the first house, so that greatly influences United States, greatly influences people and the ruling class as well. And there is a sense of certain speculation that is going on. So it could be a speculation on the part of the United States to start the war. But in a more ordinary sense, for common people, Jupiter in the fifth house also suggests the stock market is unstable, but not entirely bad. And it might be difficult for traders because there is greater instability. It might be time of opportunity, but great instability with the stock market and commodities. So let's take a little closer look at the financial market itself. In my previous videos, I was talking about Bitcoin, silver, and gold. So I want to address them a little bit. for the viewers who are really interested in how they will perform. I think the most debilitated, most difficult is the Bitcoin and cryptos and currencies. It can improve and then drop down. So there's instability with some improvement and some decreases. But I think we cannot anticipate a great improvement until Mercury is going to be much, much better. And I went forward, I traced it forward. Only by mid to end of May, Mercury gets to be in a better shape. So it's towards the beginning of summer, I think that Bitcoin can recover more. But in the next few months, March and April and May, early May, it's going to continue to be unstable. For the United States, this is also true for the real estate market, right? So it continues to be depressed. Not entirely bad. Nothing is going to collapse because of the support of the beneficial planets. As to the military operations of the United States, of course, they will influence the markets, they will influence the trades. I think their chances are not 100% because Mars, military planet, falls here in the 12th house. It squares Uranus, but this is already separating. An attack is possible because it was visible in the solar eclipse chart that United States will continue military rhetorics, military tactics. However, chances for diplomacy are also high. Now, talking about silver, moon is moving to an opposition. Mercury, I think it suggests instability with silver, and then it's moving in opposition with Venus, a little improvement. But as I told in my previous prognosis, I anticipate during the year after April, silver will increase in value. It should increase in value much more. The positive for silver here is that Jupiter on March 12th is going to go direct. So I anticipate increase of silver's value and even more so after mid-April. As to gold, it continues to be okay. There could be some dips, but overall, the gold's value will remain strong during the year. For the stock market, I think things remain unstable, so with ups and downs, but I don't anticipate a crash and some benefits. So this may be a time of opportunity, but it's an unstable time. And I anticipate improvements after mid-March and when Mercury will go, first will go direct, which will be end of March, but it will have other difficult configurations, but it'll become stronger towards the end of May. So it's slow financial improvements through spring and into summer. One more comment here, because I'm looking at the map of the United States, is that I think the speculation that the United States is going to do and various negotiations and trades with other countries, it will have good and bad. But because Mercury, dispositor of the eclipse, is so unstable, it may suggest that the foreign affairs are a little bit risky. So whatever risks United States are going to take, it won't necessarily pay off. But in my next video, I will talk about the ingress for the United States in more greater depth. And in the next couple of weeks, I'll record a video about ingress, which is a more in-depth look at the map for the United States for year 2026. One other point here is that Mercury and emphasis on Pisces also have to do with people in religion and church. They may be in the news, or there may be some kind of scandals or information about them in the news. These are my thoughts about this upcoming event from the mundane and financial point of view. In a separate video, I will record about its spiritual meaning. What can we do? How can we work with this energy? Remember, it will not influence us for a very long time, 2-3 months, but likely they will be remarkable. If you're interested in a broader perspective, you can review my previous video where I talk about the solar eclipse. And soon I will release a video about ingress where I will talk in depth about the mundane and financial astrology as well. In addition, I'm working on my monthly video about the electional astrology. This month is remarkable. In addition to the eclipse, we're also going to have so many planets in Pisces. And there will be a video about positive and difficult days for the month of March. Thank you, everyone, very much for watching. If you're new to my channel, please hit the subscribe, comment, like, help my young channel to grow. I very much appreciate everyone who supported me, and thank you very much, and stay tuned for more.